You ever hear about the ship that pulled into harbor with not a single soul on board? Yeah, the sails were torn, the ropes creaked against the mast, and the water slapped against the hull like it was trying to whisper a secret. Locals swore they could feel eyes watching them from that empty deck. But here's the part that gets real dark. The ship wasn't empty at all. At least, not in spirit. What people didn't know is that just a few weeks earlier, 5 pirates had been strung up at the gallows, and their last words, their curses, were carried out to sea. And when the ship came back, it brought those words with it. Now hold up, don't click away yet. I'm about to tell you something that's been buried in sailors' journals, in old newspaper clippings, in dockside gossip that no one dared to write down. This ain't just a ghost story, it's about how words, when spoken with rage and pain, can live on long after the body's gone cold. And I promise by the end you're gonna question whether curses are real, or whether we make them real just by believing. Picture this, an old port town, smoke rising from taverns, sea salt in the air, sailors shouting over the cries of gulls. 5 men are dragged through the dirt, wrists chained, faces beaten but still burning with fire. These weren't your everyday thieves. They were pirates, men who carved their names into the sea with blood and steel. Their ship had been captured, their crew scattered, and now they were about to swing. But before the trapdoors opened, each one of those men spat out final words so sharp, so full of venom, that the crowd actually went silent. The first pirate, Elias Crow, he leaned forward, rope already around his neck, and said, "This town will never sleep. Your children's children will hear us in the dark." And then the lever was pulled and his body dropped. The second, Thomas Vale, he screamed, "The sea don't forget her sons. She'll send us back, and when she does, you'll beg to join us." His eyes rolled back as the ropes snapped tight. The third one, a scarred brute they called Black Henry, just laughed, deep, ragged laughter that echoed across the square. "We ain't done. Death don't scare me, but it should scare you. We'll be knocking on your door soon." The fourth pirate, Silas, he wasn't laughing. He was crying. But through the tears he said, "You'll hear the creak of the ropes every night. You'll dream of our broken necks, and when you wake, we'll be standing there." And the fifth, the youngest, barely more than a boy, looked out at the crowd with this twisted grin and whispered, "We're all going home. And home is wherever you are." Then the rope tightened and that was it. 5 bodies, 5 curses. Most people went home shaken, but life in a port town doesn't stop. Ships come, ships go. Coins change hands. Drinks get poured. But weeks later the strangest thing happened. Their ship, the very one they'd been captured on, was spotted drifting back into harbor. Only problem? There wasn't a single man alive on it. Dockworkers said it came in slow, sails torn to rags, no anchor dropped, no hands at the wheel. It just floated in like the sea was pushing it home. Folks who were brave enough to climb aboard found half-eaten meals on the table, mugs tipped over, dice scattered across the floor. Beds looked slept in, but not a single crew member was there. No blood, no signs of a fight, no bodies. Just silence. But the silence didn't last. The men who boarded swore they heard whispers. Some said it was the sound of ropes tightening, wood groaning, like gallows swaying in the wind. One man ran back down the gangplank screaming that he'd seen Elias Crow standing on deck with his head twisted, eyes wide open. Another swore the boy pirate had followed him home, grinning through his window at night. Now I know what you're thinking. Drunken sailors, tall tales. But here's the kicker. The ones who went on that ship? They started disappearing. Not all at once, but one by one. A dockhand vanished walking home. A captain was found drowned in a barrel of rainwater outside his own house. A fisherman's wife woke up screaming that she saw rope marks around her husband's throat, and the man was dead in his bed come sunrise. And every single one of those folks had one thing in common. They had stepped onto that ghost ship. Word spread fast, but instead of burning the ship, the townsfolk just let it sit there. No one touched it, no one sailed it, no one dared. It became this black shadow at the dock, creaking in the tide, seagulls refusing to land on it. At night, you could see lanterns flicker on deck even when no one was there to light them. And if you listen real close, you could hear boots pacing the boards, ropes stretching, and voices whispering the same last words that had been shouted on the gallows. Years passed, and still that ship haunted the harbor. Kids dared each other to run up and touch it. Sailors spat every time they walked past, trying to keep the curse away. Some even swore storms were drawn to the town because of it, that the sea really hadn't forgotten her sons, just like Thomas Vale said. So here's where I want to stop and ask you, do you believe in curses? Because what gets me about this story isn't just the ship or the whispers or the disappearances. It's how those final words, spoken in rage, seemed to grow bigger, stronger, every time they were told. Like the whole town carried those curses in their heads, fed them, gave them life. Maybe the pirates didn't haunt that ship at all. Maybe the people did. Maybe fear itself is the curse. And that brings me back to us. We live in a world where words are everywhere, online, in our ears, on our screens. Angry words, cruel words, hateful words. You ever think about how much power we give them just by repeating them, sharing them, letting them echo? Maybe curses ain't old pirate magic. Maybe curses are alive every single day in the things we let live rent-free in our heads. But hey, before you go sleeping too easy tonight, remember this. That ship? They say it finally vanished during a storm, torn from the dock and dragged out to sea. But fishermen even today swear they've seen it drifting out on the horizon, black sails tattered, a crew of shadows pacing the deck. And when the wind shifts just right, you can still hear a voice whisper, "We're all going home." You felt that chill just now? Do me a favor. Don't let this story die. Hit that like button, drop a comment with whether you believe curses are real, and share this with somebody who loves a good ghost story. And if you're brave enough, stick around for the next tale, because trust me, this ain't the only ship that came back without her crew.